The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and quiet despair. Nurses moved briskly, doctors whispered, and loved ones waited with tight hearts. In room 214, a small, fragile boy lay curled under white sheets, his breathing shallow, his frame painfully thin. His name was Zion, 6 years old, abandoned at birth and diagnosed with a rare heart condition that doctors said would take him before he saw his 7th birthday. No one visited him. No one held his hand. Until her. Sarah walked in like a spring breeze, gentle, warm, unexpected. She wasn't a nurse or a doctor. She was a 42-year-old woman who had come to the hospital that day to donate blood. But as fate would have it, she got lost searching for the exit and stumbled upon room 214. She would always say later, "I didn't find Zion. He found me." The moment she saw him, eyes closed, chest rising faintly with each breath, something shifted inside her. A voice within whispered, "Stay." So she sat. For hours. She read to him. She whispered stories. She brushed back his matted hair. And when the nurse came in and told her visiting hours were over, Sarah asked a single question that changed both their lives forever. "Does he have anyone?" The nurse shook her head. "No family. No visitors. He's been here for over a year." Sarah's heart clenched. Then. "I'd like to be his someone." The adoption process wasn't simple. There were legal hurdles, medical clearances, background checks. And worst of all, the doctors didn't believe he'd live long enough to leave the hospital. "He's terminal," they said gently. "Why go through the pain of attachment?" But Sarah wasn't scared of heartbreak. She had already known loss. Her own child, a daughter named Alina, had died in a car crash 5 years earlier. Since then, Sarah had drifted, functioning but hollow. Zion was the first heartbeat that reminded her she was still alive. "I'm not adopting him to watch him die," she told the social worker. "I'm adopting him so he knows what it feels like to be loved, even if just for a moment." They let her take him home with hospice support. His heart condition was worsening, and his weight barely crossed 30 pounds. But something miraculous happened when Zion left the sterile white hospital walls and entered a home filled with books, soft blankets, warm meals, and lullabies. He began to smile. He laughed when Sarah burned pancakes and let him fix them with strawberry syrup. He asked questions about the moon and stars and insisted on sleeping with a nightlight because shadows are too quiet. Weeks turned into months. The doctors were stunned. "He should be gone," one cardiologist whispered during a checkup, eyes wide. "But he's thriving." Sarah didn't believe in miracles. Until Zion. Years passed like whispered wishes. Zion grew, stronger, taller, brighter. Sarah never treated him like a patient. She treated him like a boy, her boy. They planted a lemon tree together in the backyard when he turned 10. "This is our forever tree," Zion said. "Even when I'm gone, it'll stay." Sarah knelt beside him, pulling him into a hug. "You're not going anywhere, Zion. Not on my watch." His surgeries, while high risk, were made possible through a charitable foundation Sarah campaigned for tirelessly. She sold her jewelry, rented out her studio, and even took a second job writing blog posts at night. Anything to save him. And it worked. At 14, Zion had his final heart surgery. Doctors called it an impossible recovery. He walked out of the hospital holding Sarah's hand. By the time Zion turned 22, he was a healthy young man with a scholarship to study medicine. He wanted to become a cardiologist. "Because someone once fought for my heart," he explained during a university interview. "Now I want to spend my life doing the same." Sarah, now in her 60s, beamed from the front row, her heart swelling with pride. But life, in all its unpredictable symmetry, had another twist waiting. One chilly November evening, Sarah was preparing dinner when she suddenly collapsed, clutching her chest. Zion, home for the weekend, heard the thud and rushed to her side. Her face was pale, her lips losing color. "Mom!" "Mom!" he shouted, his voice cracking. He performed CPR while calling the ambulance. At the hospital, the diagnosis was devastating. Sarah had suffered a massive heart attack, and her heart was in critical failure. She needed a transplant. Soon. "She won't survive more than a few weeks," the cardiologist explained quietly to Zion. "I'm sorry." Zion sat alone in the waiting room, head buried in his hands. The woman who gave him life, who fought every doctor and statistic to keep him alive, was now dying, and he couldn't help her. Or could he? For the next few days, Zion barely slept. He reached out to every medical contact he had. He petitioned transplant centers. He even went on the news to share Sarah's story. "She adopted a dying orphan with no future," he said, voice trembling. "She gave me everything. Now she needs just one heart." The story spread. Newspapers ran headlines, "Son saved by adoption now fights to save mom." Offers came in, but hearts are rare, and matches rarer. Sarah's condition worsened. And then, one morning, a miracle call. A donor match had been found. A 26-year-old man who died in an accident. His family had heard Zion's story on the news and insisted that Sarah get the heart. He was kind like her, the donor's mother had said, tears in her voice. He would have wanted this. The surgery was long. Risky. For hours, Zion paced the cold tiles outside the operation theater. Memories of childhood nights, curled up next to Sarah as she read him fairy tales, flooded his mind. "Please live, Mom. Please." When the surgeon finally emerged, pulling off his mask, he smiled. "She made it." Zion collapsed into a chair, sobbing uncontrollably. Recovery wasn't easy. Sarah was weak, her hair thin, her smile tired. But she was alive. "You saved me," she whispered one night as Zion sat beside her bed. "After all these years, you saved me." Zion gripped her hand. "No, Mom. You saved me first. I just returned the favor." The lemon tree in the backyard stood tall and proud, now bearing fruit every season. One afternoon, Sarah and Zion sat under its shade, sipping tea. He was now a full-time doctor at the city hospital, and she had retired from her job. "Remember what you said when we planted this?" Sarah smiled. Zion nodded. "That even when I'm gone, it'll stay." She reached out, touching his cheek. "But you're not gone. You stayed. And you became everything I prayed for." Zion looked up at the golden leaves above them. "It's our forever tree, Mom. Just like our story. Sometimes, the life you save ends up saving yours." Kindness isn't measured by how much we give, but by how deeply we change someone's world. Sarah gave Zion a reason to live when the world had written him off. And in return, he gave her a second chance at life. True love is never wasted. It finds its way back, sometimes, through the very heart we once healed. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more emotional and inspiring true kindness stories. Your support helps us spread love and light to millions.